Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. First live podcast since training camp, and we've got ourselves a preview of the Giants-Commanders game. We will both be there. We will have our tailgate. We will be there at 8 a.m. I want you to remember that. I don't want anybody tweeting at us. L16 on the curb. Candlewick Diner will be catering it. Bring your own booze, but everybody is welcome. Food will be free until it runs out. So
yeah.
It's going to be a good time. Justin, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm really excited. Good to see Bobby Skinner here. Had a good week at the John Boy Media Warehouse. That's where we're coming to you from right now. This looks a little different. This window was not here over the summer.
No.
And it turns out that if you knock down this wall, there is the warehouse. You can see the green walls. So I'm excited for this, man. Not only is just great to see everybody, it's going to be great to have everybody out at that tailgate, but this is a huge game for our New York Football Giants.
For whoever wins and loses this team, it has huge implications for the wild card. I mean, right now the Cowboys are the first wild card team.
Yeah, all four NFC East teams are in the playoffs.
We feel like the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. They're a very good team.
Yeah.
Then it's the Giants here at 7-4. The Commanders 7-5. Their bye week is next week. Then they play the Giants again, and then the Seahawks who are 6-5.
Yeah.
So we're going to be playing the NFC East. The NFC East is going to beat up itself a little bit in this next month. But one of the Giants or Commanders will be in the playoffs unless there is some shocking fallout by both these teams. So these two matchups in the next 3 weeks are huge, and it starts with winning at home for the Giants.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks that the Commanders have this week, then they have a bye, and then they play the Giants again.
I will say, though, it'll be interesting to see how the bye affects them because I feel like the bye brings teams out flat, because they do take a week of vacation. It's not like they're practicing and get prepping that week like they do. And then sometimes guys go on sightseeing tours and screw up the secondary in the bye week.
As we know. Yeah, but let's get into this. Do we have confirmation that license plate guy Joe Rubeck is coming Sunday?
No confirmation yet, but I'm sure we'll see him around.
I'm sure we'll see him. Chris the Entertainer will be there. Snacks will be there. A lot of other friends will be there. So come out, L16 on the curb, catered by the Candlewick Diner. Let's talk about this game. Yeah,
and this episode is brought to you by some special people. Nick C. C stands for Commanders Suck, and then Anthony Carvalli. Quick, and then we'll get into the show.
Patreon.com/TalkingGiants. $2 a month plus some other tiers. You know what you got to do. It's the best community of Giants fans out there. Especially if we win on Sunday, you're going to want to be there and hang out with us and watch and react to the game live when we record the show. So patreon.com/TalkingGiants. Thanks to our patrons.
Live action. All right, so this Washington Commanders team under Taylor Heineke has went 5-1 in his 6 starts. But, Justin, they are winning because of defense. Heineke is helping, no doubt, and we'll talk about Heineke in the offense and how it's been operating. But they are clearly winning by defense. I don't think there's some dominant defense in the NFL, but their front four is terrorizing. Yeah. Their front four is terrorizing. So when you're facing the New York Giants, they're facing other teams. Maybe it's not as dominant defense, even though they are top 10. They're top 10 in both passing and rushing. But when you have a front four of Jonathan Allen, 6.5 sacks, 14 tackles for a loss. Deron Payne, 6.5 sacks, 13 tackles for a loss. Those two guys, their two defensive tackles, would lead both of our teams. Are both the Giants in both those categories each.
Yeah, what does Jahad Ward have, 7?
Yeah, 7 tackles for a loss. Dex has 5 sacks. And then Montez Sweat on the edge, 7 sacks, 11 tackles for a loss.
24 QB hits, by the way, too. If you end the year with 24 QB hits, that's a good year, and there's still, how many games left.
So the Giants are weak on the interior. They're still banged up. We'll talk about where Feliciano, where Gates is playing. But this front four is going to be a tough battle for the New York Giants offense because they are going to bring interior pressure like crazy.
Yeah, and the thing against the Cowboys was Micah Parsons. They have some nice complementary pieces around there, but the Commanders, it's everybody. It's everybody and anybody that can kind of beat you. So they've been especially good against the run where, we talk about the Cowboys defense where they can be kind of had in the run game. We talked about how they were the team that allowed the 4th most runs of 10-plus yards. Commanders are good against the run and the pass, and they have been better against the pass as of late, too.
And I'll be interested. So this is a point where we're at with the Giants where teams will play different teams differently. So the Commanders, they play in 2 high coverages because they have that front four that can do what they can without needing blitzing, without needing to stack the box to stop the run. Even though they're middle of the pack in yards per carry, but they are like, I think, number 8 in just total rushing defense. So they play with those 2 high shells, but I wonder if the Giants are at a point in their season where teams, it doesn't matter what the other team runs for the Giants, they are going to, but a single high safety, and they're going to bring a safety down into the box, because that is what we've seen teams do consistently versus the Giants this year.
Yeah, Bobby, I'm at this point with the Giants offense and kind of coming to the realization that they're not going to rely, I've been using the phrase Jimmys and Joes, they're not going to rely on like Darius Slayton getting separation on a consistent basis by winning his routes. They're not going to rely on Isaiah Hodgins. They're not going to rely on Richie James. A lot of what they do, especially if they throw the ball in early downs, it's just going to be scheme-driven. It's going to be certain routes that are taking safeties and creating space for with crossing routes over the middle of the field. You know, all these plays that don't really rely on like talent. It just relies on guys occupying space. You know, I want your thoughts on the Giants kind of having those plays and calling those plays. Like why teams aren't going more too high when they're running crossing routes over the middle of the field and putting more guys in the box. Is it solely Saquon Barkley and being afraid of that?
I think it's Saquon Barkley, but also what did we talk about when Daniel Jones was like playing almost perfect, but it was like there was no deep attempts?
Right.
We were talking about like they're not even putting them in progressions. Like if it's a deep route, it's almost always just a clear out route.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
So like you said, teams are not going to respect that. So a team that plays a ton of zone and those 2 high coverages, they're going to want to play some of that. Even if they stack the box versus the Giants, they may even, stack the box. And I saw them do it a couple times versus the Falcons. They'll roll that safety out and play their cover 4, cover 2 coverage. So I think the Giants, after seeing what Slayton could do against the Cowboys, the Commanders have a high average depth of target. They get targeted deep. They don't create interceptions. They have 7 interceptions in 12 games.
Yeah.
This is a game where you do try some deep concepts. Like that concept that Darius Slayton dropped versus the Commanders in Week 3 last year, Mills, where you run a deep in and a post, and you try and get that safety to bite and leave the post wide open. Do that. We should be running that with Richie James and an Isaiah Hodgins running the post, or vice versa with Darius Slayton. Try that type of stuff. Also, the Giants like to run out of play action. They run those 2-man routes where they're like deep crossers almost, one a post, one a over route. Something I noticed the Falcons did really well because their linebackers play that really well. Like they play the run, the play action fake, and they turn, and they kind of know where those spots are. They were having their receivers almost stop because those linebackers are like taught, like this is where the route is, get to that spot, and then you will end up crossing that, undercutting that. Stopping on it, like they ran like a play action dagger, which you don't see a ton. Dagger's usually not a play action type play, but it just like, hey, you have that kind of clear out deep post or just deep go, and then that deep that dig route, you just kind of there's a zone right there because the linebackers are playing the run, and then they're like, okay, we got to get the crosser off. So I think there's ways to get chunk plays on them. We know Daniel Jones can make those throws and hit them.
It's just a matter of, are they going to do it? And are they going to trust Darius Slayton? And I don't think on a consistent basis they do. I mean, we see a deep Darius Slayton attempt, once every few weeks. And usually when we see it, at least 50% of the time it's working and it's going for an explosive play. And then eventually it's leading to 7 points, or it just leads to 7 points on that actual play too. So I do think that Darius Slayton does deserve kind of that trust. I think he's earned that, but it's just a matter of, I don't think this staff this year is going to really do it, Bobby.
Yeah, and they should though. They should because it's going to help Saquon Barkley, and Darius Slayton has been like the source of deep plays this year.
Yeah, he's been the only source of deep plays this year. But let's talk about you want to talk about the running game. Move to the running game.
Let's talk about that. We talked about Jonathan. Jonathan Allen is the defensive tackle play in the NFL is kind of awesome right now.
Yeah.
Where if you like people say, well, Dexter Lawrence is playing like a top 5 defensive tackle.
It's crazy how good the defensive tackle play is in the NFL right now, but yet stopping the run for some of these teams is very difficult.
So like you have Aaron Donald, Chris Jones is playing amazing, Quentin Williams. Jonathan Allen has been a top 3 defensive tackle consistently over the last few years. It's not just him
not
playing
just this year. Yeah.
Versus the pass and the run. Daron Payne is a beast. Like I remember Nick Gates in 2020, once he got over those first 2 games and got good, there was one bad game in the mix. What was it? It was the Commanders facing Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. It looks like Feliciano is going to start at center, Gates at left guard, and Gawinski at right guard. So if Bredesen or Azudu are healthy, I would hate this with a passion. With a passion, I would hate this. But it doesn't look like Bredesen is going to be ready. Azudu's probably going to be out. So I kind of understand it. But still, I just want Gates to be the center. I wanted him to be the center. I want him to build at center for the future. I think that's his best spot long term. We saw him play well in it. And part of me is also having nightmares of we're moving Nick Gates to left guard after 1 week at center.
And it's the same.
The Commanders.
It's the fan in me it doesn't matter that it's the same opponent, but in my fan brain, and I guarantee if you're not a human being, like Nick Gates, just thinking about him as a human being, that has to be in the back of your mind. The last time I played this team at guard, the first game that I had a guard since did he start a guard in 2019?
2019.
So the first start that I had a guard since 2019 and it was a different coaching regime too. So that has to get to you a little bit. No,
John Feliciano, please don't be like Billy Price and just throw somebody through his leg.
Throw somebody on his leg. Come on, do
not
that.
throw guys in pass protection like that. So this is a game where I'm not confident in really any of those guys because Jonathan Allen versus every guard in the league is going to be a handful. Although the Falcons actually got some good movement in the run game. I don't expect that from the Giants. But the Falcons, surprisingly, for this front, were opening up holes in the run game.
I'm not fully confident in the Giants offense at all this game because the Washington defense, they have the least amount of plays run against them. And then the Washington defense has, they get off the field the quickest. The average time of possession or the time of possession that teams have against the Commanders, it's the quickest. They've held the ball for the least amount of time. So the Giants, this is a game where when I see that teams can't run a lot of plays and the Giants have kind of lived and died by kind of the long drive, they haven't been able to get those 20-plus yard plays, especially in the passing game. This is a game where I'm you kind of got to get those 20-plus yard passing plays since you can't run a lot of plays on this team. But the Giants can't do that, so I'm not feeling great about the Giants' ability to really move the ball on offense at all, especially because the Giants' running game has been weak. If this has been weaker, if this is a week 4 matchup where Saquon Barkley's running strong and the offensive line, has it's strong and it's cohesive and they're doing some fun things, then I'm bring on this tough Washington defense that can stop the run. But because we're at the second half of the season, we're at this point of the season, I'm a little bit more hesitant.
10-day rest for them. I'm sure if anyone needed that as much as anybody, it's Saquon Barkley. I have the same takes that we talked about in the mailbag with the run game. One, I think the read option will be there versus the Commanders. They do play it heavy. Marcus Mariota last week got a few nice chunk runs. Remember the last time Daniel Jones played Washington, he had over. They called back one, but he had over 100 yards in rushing. It
was a great game, yeah.
And just misdirection. Hit him with misdirection. Keep these guys guessing because John Bostic's a pretty decent linebacker for them. Jamin Davis, he's still kind of just slow processing.
Dave Gettleman liked him.
Yeah. The sad thing is Jamin Davis would have been a better pick than Kadarius Toney.
He'd be our Mike linebacker. How do you like that?
Yeah. Actually, it wouldn't have been so bad, I guess, even though he still would not be very great. He's been solid for them this year, though. Hit him with misdirection. Hit him with misdirection. Run those Gary Brightwell, Matt Breida, wing T, wing back formations. And counters and toss and try and get outside the tackles because just running up the gut against this front is going to be tough.
Yeah, it'll be tough. They got the guys.
Teams are run stunting the Giants like crazy, and it's just giving it. They're not good enough to just run zone against that. Won't you read an ad, or I'll read an ad?
Yeah, you read an ad.
I'll read an ad, and then we'll talk about their offense very quickly. So I am going to read a ad. SeatGeek. Deliver talking points with as much personal flair, language, style as possible. Copy below is for example, guidance. Okay, here's the example and the guidance. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. Live events are back, which means you can get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek with promo code GIANTS. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. I've got the app on my phone. Are we going to I'm still thinking I haven't bought my tickets to the Devils game yet.
Oh, well,
$28 tickets.
It's tonight.
$28 tickets right now on SeatGeek.
It's $5.15.
I'm thinking about going. As soon as we were in this podcast, I'm calling my peeps and saying, "Are we going?" Whether it's football, concerts, basketball, baseball, festivals, hockey, or more, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying simple. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you are getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop for tickets with confidence. Don't worry, we've got the hookup. Use code GIANTS for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code GIANTS. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. All right, their offense. The defense is deceiving some people on this offense. And storylines. Brian Robinson, everyone loves Brian Robinson right now, right?
He wore a big hat.
Over the last 4 games, they have 154 rushing yards per game. That would be top 5 in the NFL for the year. But they are just handing the ball off a lot. Like go look at Brian Robinson's number. He's averaging 3.7 yards per carry. That's what Saquon Barkley averaged last year, and it was god-awful.
Yep.
He's played 8 games. He's only averaged over 4 yards per carry in one of those 8 games. It was the most recent game, so hopefully they don't build momentum. But it's an awesome story for him, but he's not playing well. Taylor Heineke, 5-1 in his last 6 starts, right? He's having, honestly, his career worse in numbers. The thing that he's doing the best is he's getting the ball to Terry McLaurin, which Carson Wentz wasn't.
Helps.
And he is pressured a ton, but he's not letting those pressures turn the sacks. You know, in those 6 games, he's had 9 sacks, even though he's like top 5 for pressure rate in the NFL. So Heineke, I don't want to discount. Like Heineke is doing some things well and is leading to them winning with the defense they have. But if you look at his numbers, like they're worse than they were last year for him.
Heineke's a gamer. I like him.
Oh, we said it before the year when we're like, who are the best backup QBs in the NFL? And like, who would you have over Tyrod Taylor? He was like one of 3, you know, like he was like that 3rd guy.
Heineke just always, and this is strange to hear this out of my mouth. I'm the analytical guy. I like to point at the stats. But Heineke's always the guy that it just seems like when you're watching a Commanders game, maybe it's a nationally televised game, maybe it's just a game they have on and it's a big moment. Heineke's always just the guy that he's going to do something fun. He's going to do something funky. He's going to do something good when he kind of
creates in the pocket.
Really has to. Yeah, he's a fun guy. You know, he's the ball player gamer tag that you want to put on some quarterbacks and some players. I think Taylor Heineke kind of does deserve it. But I think you kind of give him that tag, he's a gamer, because you can't really call him a good quarterback. So he still is not a good quarterback. And the Giants should not be certainly torched by him at all this Sunday.
No, and the Giants' run defense is like I think Antonio Gibson's just a better back than Brian Robinson. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously as a receiving back, but just as a running back in general, I would much rather face Brian Robinson.
And Antonio Gibson is hurt. He did not practice Wednesday, Thursday, but I still think he's going to play because he played last week. And it was significant to note, even though Brian Robinson, it's kind of unclear why did Brian Robinson get more run and get more work last week than Antonio Gibson. Brian Robinson kind of did have a little bit of a breakout game, but it also could be that Antonio Gibson's hurt. So I kind of hope that Antonio Gibson does not get the same kind of work, because if there is an opportunity for the Commanders to be successful in the running game, I think it's when Gibson's in the game, where I think the Giants' defense, even though they're not good against the run, I think they can do well against a running back like Brian Robinson.
Yes. That is the type of running backs they've had success for, is like the bigger run between the gaps.
Derrick Henry, week 1.
Yeah. And there was another game. What was another really good running offense that we had success against?
Well, it
was a zone. No, it was a zone running team. God, that's really going to bother me.
Green Bay.
No, because they had that pony 2-back stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's they didn't really do it. But they didn't really do it.
No, but there was a game we went into being like, I'm not worried about this run game.
Week 2, who did we play?
No, it was later in this. That's going to drive me freaking nuts.
I'm excited for you to find out. The Bears.
It was the Seahawks. It was the Seahawks because they don't run a ton of misdirection, and Kenny Walker, he bounces it a lot, and that's not how the Giants' run defense loses.
It's not how the Giants' team lost. But I mean, the main thing that I'm worried about is just,
Terry McLaurin is what worries me. And Dory Jackson, Fabian Moreau, hopefully he's back, but like that's, like we said, I think Taylor Heineke actually is better for them than Carson Wentz, even though Carson Wentz will have better games than him.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing he's done a lot better than Wentz, besides the sack numbers, and not getting them off schedule like Carson Wentz did. Terry has had 6 games with both quarterbacks. With Wentz, 22 catches, 367 yards on a 59% catch rate. And then with Heineke, 32 catches, 473 yards on a 65. So essentially 2 catches and about 20 yards more per game with him. And Doesn't sound like much, but that's a big difference.
All right. You got any more on the offense?
No, I think that's it.
I just want to touch on injuries for a hot sec because we're going to be getting, hopefully, a lot of guys back. Daniel Bellinger's one, we think.
Yes. I may talk about him later in the podcast. Dane Belton was limited in practice. Think he's going to play. Chili dogs.
Carter Coughlin matters, special teams.
Fucking own chili
John
dogs.
Feliciano, we talked about him. Darnay Holmes, limited in practice. He didn't miss a game, though, so he should be good. Fabian Moreau, Leonard Williams was on the limited injury report. Cordell Flott, back. Cool. Evan Neal?
Evan Neal is starting this week. There's no doubt about it.
Evan Neal's starting. And then Azeez Ojulari.
Ojulari is the one that's big. Their tackles can be taken advantage of, and we talk about Taylor Heineke not letting the pressure turn the sacks. Azeez is a guy who can be a difference maker in that and turns a pressure into a sack. Whether it's Dex funneling him out to Azeez or is Azeez just winning his battles one-on-one, which he did play well against Washington last year. So Azeez is the one that, even Evan Neal, I want him back for his development. Azeez and Bellinger are the ones that are coming backwards. That, I think, can help us a ton.
Yeah, substantially.
Bellinger, we've talked about it ad nauseum about just having a two-way tight end, bringing a second tight end who's capable of blocking. And then Azeez, he looked really good in the limited amount he's played in the preseason and training camp. When we saw him, he just looked like a better player. Looked like he was making that year two jump. So that's a guy who can make a difference for the Giants.
I think he's going to be on a pitch count because even when Kayvon and Azeez came back from their first injuries, it was frustrating. It's why are these guys off the field in the fourth quarter? And you had Timon Fox and Jahad Ward in the biggest drive of the game. So I think Azeez is going to be on a little bit of a pitch count. Big game for Kayvon Thibodeau too, because he had 5 QB hits last week. And the main thing with Kayvon is that can you make those weeks in consecutive? Maybe not 5 QB hits, but hey, don't disappear on us there. So hopefully Azeez, when Azeez is actually in there, that will help Kayvon. Hopefully Kayvon could just continue to be consistent too. And we'll see in this Giants running game. It is a tough matchup up front, but getting Daniel Bellinger back is absolutely huge. And we'll see in this whole conversation that we've had the last few weeks about Saquon Barkley. Is it injury? Is it the shoulder? Is it fatigue? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the O-line? As Evan Neal comes back healthy, Nick Gates is going to be at guard, and the offensive line starting to get healthy. We'll see about this Giants running game.
All right, let's move on to segments.
Danny King, producer editor Justin here. We had some technical stuff going on at the John Boy Media Warehouse, so for this segment, for the YouTube people, you won't be seeing Danny King on the screen. His audio is still fine. His audio is good. We record, clean audio straight through. So his audio is still good, but he's going to kind of just be calling in this show with no audio. You won't see his face, but Danny King, you'll still hear from him. So I wanted to put that note in there. We had some technical stuff at the warehouse. Here's Danny King. Here's the rest of the show. Go Giants. All right, welcome back to the show, and I want to talk to you about the Candlewick Diner. Yes, Candlewick Diner. They're going to be catering our tailgate. Thank you so much to them. They are located in East Rutherford, New Jersey, just 5 minutes up the road from MetLife Stadium. And guess what? Breaking news. New deal. If you go to the Candlewick Diner and you mention Talkin' Giants on game day, you have to go to Talkin' Giants on Sunday. Excuse me, you have to go to Talkin' Giants. You go to Talkin' Giants. Go to the Candlewick Diner on game day, and you mention Talkin' Giants, you get a free dessert. And they have some really good desserts there.
That's a good deal.
New York cheesecake, chocolate cake. They have some really good desserts
I'm going to say, even if you don't go on game day, just do it and try.
I would say, mention Talkin' Giants and see what happens. So thank you to the Candlewick Diner. Thank you to Manny. A lot of Giants players sometimes frequently visit the Candlewick Diner as well, so you may even run into Quincy Roche. How do you like that? I know he's been there before.
Danny, all right. Run into Quincy Roche, Candlewick Diner. Sorry, I got thrown off.
Sure, because you just love Quincy Roche.
Let's get to the weather with Danny King. Danny, what's the weather like this week? I will be there, so make sure you get it right.
Mama always said when the big winds come in, that means a shift is coming, a transition is imminent, or it's time to reflect. Word is winds are howling hard in the New York area right now. That was from my friend Josina Anderson.
That sounds like you copied someone else's weather report.
No. I just really love.
What the hell does that tweet mean by Josina Anderson? All the wind is like, what do you mean? The wind
does that mean?
has nothing to do with our lives. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, it's windy.
it's quite literally just the wind.
It's windy right now, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But it won't be windy on Sunday, though. Boom! You see that transition? It's crazy. It's gonna be 5 miles per hour on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. It's gonna be clear. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna feel like 36 degrees with a temperature of 40 at kickoff, but it's gonna rise throughout the day, get to 43. So it'll be a nice 40-degree day and no wind. It will be a lovely day for a tailgate and people.
All right, that's some sick weather. We're skipping trivia this week. Fantasy draft. Justin will be picking first. He's in second after a strong week last week. He is 36 points back. Danny is picking second. He's in last. Danny is 72 points back, so he's double the pointage that Justin's down. And then obviously I'm in first, picking third. Justin, you have the first pick this week. We've went away from Saquon as 1-1 consistently every week.
I had a big week last week, so
Jealous.
I am going to go with Terry McLaurin.
Oh,
I know Fabian Moreau is back. I just don't trust Saquon against this Washington defense, so give me Fabian Moreau.
Yeah, I had him as number one on my big board. I think he's the one you can just trust. All right, Danny, you have the second pick.
Makes sense, but I'm gonna just go Saquon. I'm not gonna let him slip by me. I'd rather just, if he has a game, he has a game, and he had a little longer to rest this week, so that's key.
Yeah, I had him as the second pick too. As much as like he struggled, it's like I don't love the option. So I'm gonna go Darius Slayton as my first pick. He's obviously the Giants' number one wide receiver. We already picked the wide receiver one. Like no one's consistently getting catches on the Commanders after Terry McLaurin. And then Brian Robinson gets volume no matter what. Even if he's sucking, they give him volume. That's kind of how they've changed their offense a little bit, is just giving volume no matter what. So I'm going Brian Robinson, who got shot with my second pick. Danny, who is your second pick?
You're muted.
You're muted.
God.
I'm muted. Next up, going Isaiah Hodgins. I made the mistake last week. I'm taking it this week. He's a part of Brian Daboll's game plan. I don't know how much Richie James is going to get targeted. Daniel Jones like Isaiah Hodgins, so give me Isaiah Hodgins.
Almost had a touchdown last week. Who had Richie James last week? You had Richie James 2 weeks ago. You got a garbage time, like 3 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. And he got more garbage time yards and a touchdown this past week.
Yeah, but I don't expect we'll have any garbage time this week, if you know what I mean.
Justin, you have back-to-back picks.
All right, I'm going to go with Daniel Bellinger. He's back. I don't know. I hope that he just doesn't have a snap count limit. It's his eye. If you're ready to rock and roll, you should be ready to rock and roll. Wear that clear visor. Hopefully Daniel Bellinger is involved in the passing game. Because remember during that Jacksonville game, that's the game where I think they started to involve him more in the passing game. They were going to give him a little bit more added responsibility. So hopefully that continues. And then I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson. He may not play. He is hurt. So this is still the third-round pick, right?
Yeah, so you can trade this if you need to.
I can trade away this pick if needed.
Yeah, that's a smart pick right there. Because even after him, it's like there's not a – I guess there's one player where it's like I would hate missing out on him. Hopefully Danny doesn't pick him. Danny, who do you have with your third pick?
I'm probably not going to pick him. I'm taking Logan Thomas, the tight end.
You should have taken somebody else.
Yeah, I had Logan Thomas next on my big board after Richie James. I mean, Richie James is the starting slot wide receiver.
You're all are missing somebody that I'm maybe overvaluating a little bit.
Are you talking about Jahan Dotson or somebody?
No, or somebody.
Curtis Samuel?
Yeah.
I mean, I could pick him right now.
Yeah, I think you should.
So I have Dotson, Lawrence Cager, but Curtis Samuel's been like so uninvolved.
Maybe they attacked Darnold. He is the slot guy, right? Or are they using Dotson in the slot? They're both like slot
I'm going to go
guys.
Jahan Dotson.
Wow, tough.
He's the guy who can just eat against Darnold.
All right, so he's the slot guy. Curtis
I'm going
Samuel's
Jahan
outside.
Dotson. Danny, well, who's your last pick?
I'm gonna take the other Giants tight end. I'm taking Lawrence Cager. I think he's still gonna be involved.
Yeah,
I
was thinking about it. I know Curtis Samuel started the season out hot, but I'm not really high on him.
I'm not feeling it.
I'm hoping. All right, so Justin, pick Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel's on the board.
Yeah, he's the last pick.
I'm taking Curtis Samuel.
We need Danny. Me and you need a Curtis Samuel dud.
Oh, I mean, he's had duds in recent weeks.
All right, to recap, Justin has Terry McLaurin, Daniel Bellinger, Antonio Gibson, and Curtis
I
Samuel.
feel good about that team.
Danny King has Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Hodgins, Logan Thomas, and Lawrence Cager. And I have Darius Slayton, Brian Robinson Jr., Richard James, and Jahan Dotson.
Giant factors.
Should we do giant factors or skip giant factors?
No,
We're
let's
having
do
a lot
giant
of audio
factors.
issues right now.
Let's do it quick because giant factors very much in succession.
Justin, go giant factor.
My giant factor is going to be, why not? Took him in the fantasy draft. It is going to be Daniel Bellinger. Kind of said it. Already gave my explanation.
Oh, what the hell? That's my giant factor.
Whoa. Oh, wait. Can I take it back? Because I
literally-
knew that was going to be your giant
No,
factor.
just picks go. You have the first pick.
Daniel
It's-
Bellinger going to be my giant factor. You were started getting more involved in the Jacksonville game. That was a bad guy move because you literally told me that you were going to do that. Daniel Bellinger, you were starting to get more involved against the Jaguars. You're coming back. You got to help transform this running game. Help prove that Saquon Barkley isn't hurt. He's not getting deteriorated. He's not getting bogged down by the season. Daniel Bellinger, go out there, be a giant factor. That was a really bad guy move. I was originally going to go with like Fabian Moreau, but then Daniel Bellinger is more of a sexy name. I'm sorry.
Bellinger, it's just we've been talking about the value of him and things. So here's the thing: like we talk about, the rushing game has struggled without him. This has struggled without him. So let's find out. Does correlation mean causation with Daniel Bellinger? Like that's what I want to see. How much does the correlation to some Giants issues, like are they causation of Daniel Bellinger missing games? Because we've said that. Like I think it's a big part of it. Even going back to the Seahawks game.
Yep.
So there's that. Danny, who is your giant factor for this game?
Darius Slayton is my giant factor. Darius Slayton is my giant factor because he's very much back in this offense. Last year, Darius Slayton didn't have his greatest games against the Washington Commanders, and he's more involved than ever. He's a reliable target, and maybe he might get lost in the shuffle this week with so many weapons coming back like Daniel Bellinger because that was Daniel Jones' favorite target. So I'm gonna go Darius Slayton. I'm saying another touchdown. He also mossed someone last week, which was great.
Trivia. Darius Slayton has had a touchdown versus the Commanders in 3 of his last 4 games versus the Commanders. Remember the fourth quarter fantasy touchdown I had last week?
It was huge.
Huge.
Darius Slayton. It was on the same exact play concept that he dropped in that Week 3 game, but he had a touchdown earlier in that game, and then the Week 6 win in 2020 he had that fade touchdown. I'm going to go Rodarius Williams. He actually played halfway solid last week. Build on that. We're going to need you. I don't know if they let him cover Terry McLaurin or if Fabian Moreau comes back and they put him on there, but they also, he was their cornerback too. So Rodarius Williams, I want you to build on it. Let's do spread picks. Danny, who are the spread picks brought to us by?
While we might be having audio issues, our spread picks are, as always, consistently brought to you by our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, because they are my go-to when betting on the NFL this holiday season. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and get $100 in free bets. It is that simple. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. You could do stepped up same game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You place the same game parlay and combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, point totals, and more. I'm just looking at it this week. Jets, Minnesota. That's a very enticing game to maybe get a little same game parlay going against. Dolphins, Niners. That's gonna be another fun game. Those are some of the games I would consider for some of my same game parlays because the more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. I think you all should go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code JOHNBOY, and place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $100 in free bets. It is that simple. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code JOHNBOY. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Since I'm back in Jersey, I can use DraftKings. I did it on these next 8 picks that we did. I did an 8-game parlay, and I spent $5. And if I win this 8-game parlay, I win $900. So wow. I need to go 8-0 this week. I need the money badly. All right, literally all of us went 2-6, including the listeners last week.
Tough.
So while it's like, okay, no one gained or lost ground, our records look like shit.
I'm winning.
Justin is in first place at 44 and 47. Myself
Damn right.
and Danny are both 42 and 49. And the listeners, they want to talk shit about us. Y'all suck worse. 39 and 52. Wow, only one person picks. It's not. No, shut up. You guys suck. You guys
Shut
are
your
a team.
butt.
You win as a team. You lose as a team.
That's right.
The listeners are actually represented by Pay to Line this week, which is let's see if you live up to your Twitter handle. Thursday Night Football, good game. Bills at Patriots plus 3.5. I'm going Patriots plus 3.5. I'm back. I'm totally back in on the Patriots. Even if they don't win, I feel like they're going to cover. I'm all in on these Bill Belichick Patriots and this amazing defense.
Man,
Justin.
Yeah, they really do have it's crazy how good their defense is. This line is close because of their defense. This is closer than I thought it would be. So I'm going Bills minus 3.5. I think the game's going to be close, but not that close.
The listeners agree with Justin. Danny, are you going to agree with them?
I can't because I love the Bills. I think they're going to win, but they're not. They almost lost to the Lions last week. The Patriots are still a fine team. I'm going to have to take the Bills. Nope, Patriots.
So Danny's going Patriots. Jets at Vikings minus 3. Justin.
Vikings minus 3. Mike White stinks. Tough.
He did play really well though last week, so kind of like a little bit of crow. Danny, who are you going with?
The Jets are 7-4 against the spread this year. I'm not saying Mike White's the answer, but I think the Jets might have a fun game against the Vikings. I'm going to take the New York Jets plus 3.
So I kind of want to take the Jets because they literally are good at every position by quarterback, and if Mike White can give them halfway decent play, then they're good. But, I mean, I think the Vikings are just a better team. I'm going Vikings minus 3 as well as the listeners. A lot of good games this week. Titans at Eagles minus 5. Titans, like the Patriots, are another one of my, if they have a plus pointage, I'm always taking them.
Yeah.
I believe in this Titans team. I'm going Titans plus 5. Danny, who do you got?
Titans are 8-3 against the spread this year. Eagles are 6-5. The Eagles are obviously still good, but they're not as strong as they once were. So I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans to cover the spread this week, and I wouldn't be shocked if they win either.
Okay. Listeners are agreeing with you. Justin, are you agreeing with – are we all agreeing?
Yeah, this is my John Boy Media against the spread league pick this week. I think the Titans win this game.
Not a hot take.
I think so too. Like I think they play. They're good. I mean, the Eagles. It's not even a shot at the Eagles. It's like they've played some tight games and they're not.
Eagles have a little trouble stopping the running. That's what the Titans do.
Yeah, they're not going to go 16-1 this year. I put this game in here. Jags at Lions minus 1. Who do you got in this one, Danny?
I'm gonna take the Lions because there's a better team than Jacksonville still.
I actually like this Jags team. Everyone was super high on them. I just think the Jags, like the Lions, still have a lot of flaws, and I think the Jags have a team that can expose some of those. So I'm going Jags plus 1. Justin.
Jags. This will be a fun rewatch this week. This is actually one of those games where it maybe shouldn't deserve a rewatch, but I have a feeling it's going to be really fun.
The rapist returns to Houston. Browns at Texans plus 7. I've tried to not comment on that a ton, but the Browns have a lot of talent. Their defense sucks, but the Texans really, really suck. I'm going with Deshaun Watson, the Browns minus 7.
Texans cover.
Is that a moral pick, or you just actually believe that?
Both. I have a feeling Deshaun Watson may come out here and stink.
Yeah, but the Texans are so bad.
I know they're bad.
They are the rare, like has the worst.
They don't even have Davis Mills starting anymore, right?
Kyle Allen, which might even be a better player.
I'm still gonna go. I still think they're gonna cover.
Like they are the rare, like they're the worst team in the league, and they are clearly the worst team.
I'll be okay if I lose this game.
Danny, who do you got?
I mean, I'm gonna say the Browns minus 7, but I do hope something happens to Deshaun Watson's knees.
All right, another great game. Mike McDaniel returns to San Francisco. Dolphins at 49ers minus 4. Dolphins plus 4. They're coming up. Damn it, they're coming off a bye week. I hate when teams come off bye weeks. But I think Mike McDaniel is going to have these boys ready. They're excited to play some ball. I'm going Dolphins plus 4. Daniel.
I'm gonna take the Dolphins. The Dolphins are on fire. Mike McDaniels is a fun coach, and I mean the Niners are just as good. But I think Mike McDaniels is gonna get it done.
This is tough. Remember we had the ultimate debates through the 2019 season about throwing the ball versus running the ball?
Yeah.
This is that game personified. I'm going with throwing the ball. Dolphins.
Same system though.
It's actually funny how you have, it's Similar system, but very two different
The
mentalities.
Dolphins
in it.
O-line sucks too.
Yeah.
Chiefs at Bengals. This was a great regular season game last year, and then a great AFC Championship game. The Chiefs are my Super Bowl team, but I'm still riding the Bengals to cover the spread. I think they're going to win this game. They just got Joe Burrow's got some type of magic on the Chiefs. Bengals +2. Justin.
I am going to go with the Chiefs.
Okay.
Jamar Chase is back, though. Need him to do well fantasy-wise.
I am totally out of fantasy football. Danny, who do you got?
I'm going to take the Bengals as well. They're better against the spread. They get Jamar Chase back this week. Bengals, like Bobby says, they just have the Chiefs number at the moment.
Saints at Bucks, Monday Night Football, Bucks -4. The Saints own Tom Brady, even though I think that Tom Brady beat the Saints earlier in the year. I'm going with the Red Rifle, Saints +4. Justin.
Bucks -4.
Daniel.
This game is in Tampa. It's in Tampa, so that means I'm going to take the Bucks.
Did you see that rumor that Tom Brady could go back to New England?
I want that so
I
bad.
want that really bad.
I want him and Belichick reunited so badly. But I want them to fire Patricia and bring in Bill O'Brien as the OC.
Yeah, I was talking with Matt, the design guy at John Bloomie. He's from Boston, and I was like, "You get rid of Patricia, but keep Joe Judge as QB coach."
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, get rid of. Yeah, I'm down for that. All right, score predictions for the Giants and Commanders. Danny, what do you got?
Giants are going to win this week. I think they're going to end their 2-game losing streak. Get December football off with a hot start. I'm going to take the Giants. They're not going to score 30 because they're legally not allowed to in these days. 28 Giants, 17 Commanders.
I want to say before you say, if this podcast is listenable, Justin deserves a nice little bonus for this one. This is going to be rough.
Justin
what's your score
is a
prediction?
hero if he gets this.
Well, it is going to be listenable, and I'm really excited to put this together. If you're listening to this, you don't know how bad and how difficult the recording of this show
Danny,
has been.
next time we're just going to pay for you to come into Jersey City.
Honestly, yeah next year, just I would do whatever.
All right, yeah, I think the Giants win 20-16, not with any logic. I guess then not scoring 30 points is logic because the Washington defense is going to be good. So 20-16, defensive game. The Giants win this game because they freaking have to, and I want to go to the playoffs.
The Giants have to win this game if they want to make the playoffs. Wink Martindale, I think, is going to get the best out of his defense versus a poor quarterback and Taylor Heineke. Their run offense plays well into what the Giants' run defense does well, which is very little, but it does play well against their run offense. I also am undefeated in New York Giants games I have attended. Undefeated. I will be there. We will have our tailgate, L16 on the curb. Come hang out, and the Giants will put a stamp saying we're for real. Don't take this 2-game losing streak and put it against us. Giants 77, Commanders 0. We'll see you Sunday morning for the tailgate. Come out there. We'll see you after the game for a Victory Monday podcast. We appreciate you. We'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.